Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Miles, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope you're having a great day. Just want to give a reminder today that today's topic will be basically talking about the character and the man of Kobe Bryant. We're celebrating his 1 year anniversary of the loss of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and several other very, very important lives on a helicopter crash early one Sunday morning. Um, just a few things. I will be taking some comments. I will be reflecting a little bit because it's such a tragic loss of life. But I think we're in a particular part of history, if you will, whereby we can kind of draw some understanding behind these things. Looking at literally who Kobe Bryant was and beginning to celebrate that a little bit more. I don't really. I have my sports heroes. Let's be very clear. I have my sports heroes. I grew up in the era of Michael Jordan, but I also enjoyed the era of Kobe Bryant, watching a young man go from 17 years old to 41 in this case and grow and evolve. More so than just being a champion, but being a man and a person who walked and talked and carried himself as a citizen of the world. It is tough. I make no bones about it. It is tough because it doesn't seem like it's been a year. First and foremost, it seems like it was just yesterday, and like a lot of people, I can admit to the fact that it doesn't feel real. Just like a lot of things going on right now, it doesn't feel real. But I think at some point in time, we all have to bring it in and begin to appreciate life for what it was, and also passion for what it was. So we're going to be talking about Kobe Bryant here for a little bit, and we'll be right back. I just kind of wanted to set the tone, if you will. We'll be back momentarily. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. We will officially start the Shout Out Show right now. All right. All right. I'm glad everybody is dialed in. I want to thank everybody for coming on the show. For anybody that's coming on the show for the first time, I always have to do this. Thank you, number one, for coming on the show. Number two, understand that this platform, while it's the Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss, it's not my platform. This is everybody's platform. Today's topic will be going to celebrating Kobe Bryant, but having some really honest conversation about life. Just the preciousness and the value of life. This is a young man who passed away. He was 41 years old. We just lost another icon. We're talking about icons in this particular situation. We just lost Hank Aaron. So there's a lot to discuss here. So I hope and I would encourage you in advance to be a part of the discussion. You don't have to sit in the background. You get in the comment section. If you're new to the show, get in the comment section and express yourself. Share your thoughts. This is a celebration of Kobe Bryant. And I'm going to tell you why we should celebrate Kobe Bryant, because it's also a pathway as to why we should celebrate ourselves. Okay. Now, anybody else who is coming on the show, who's been on the show before, you know how this flows. I put the topic on right now. The title of the show is Celebrating Kobe Bryant. I'm going to start from January 26th. And I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to be as gracious as I can to allow people to jump in and take as many comments as we can, because this is really a healing exercise, brothers and sisters. This is a healing exercise. So it's not just talking about Kobe Bryant. You're talking about, like I said, a citizen of the world, and we're talking literally about two Kobe Bryants. There's the one who played the game, played to a very high level, and then there's one who stepped away from the game and remarkably never regretted stepping away from the game, because he stepped into his family. He stepped into his aspirations of being part of a system or process that brings overall good to the world. So I will first give my stars in the building some love first. Sister Reed, who is safely back from Michigan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Reed and Derek, hope you're back. And I'm sure Jawan is glad to have you back in the state. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Our consultant producer, Sultana Whitfield, who's so gracious to join us over the journey of the Shout Out Show from the beginning up till now. Gracious all along the way, creative. And like I said, you got to start in the making, brothers and sisters. So when she comes out, don't say, oh, preach told me, I told you so. Don't say that. I just want you to support this sister. I want this to be almost like Kobe Bryant. I want you to see people in a space who have talent and ability, and we work to that space to make sure that that opportunity is a lot more accessible and a lot more robust. Altaf Rashid, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother. I know my brother knows about Kobe Bryant in Toronto because he dropped 81 on the Raptors. That was quite a night. I don't know if you were there that night, but it lives in infamy. Trust me. Down here in the States, they're showing that night he put up 81 on the Raptors. Whoo! I'm thinking, who did he score on? But even if you watch that game, if you go like to YouTube and watch the game, people in Toronto are so cool. They started cheering Kobe Bryant because they were witnessing something they had never seen before. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game. Kobe Bryant, in our era, scored 81 points, brothers and sisters, 81 points. So for that, you got to show some love. You literally have to show some love. Okay. Sister Ike is coming all the way from Indonesia. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Ike, thank you so much for tuning in and rolling with us and being a part of the stars in the building, if you will. We appreciate you, and we hope to see you on next time. Peace and blessings to your family, and give a shout out, big shout out to our Indonesian family. Give them big hugs and assalams. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Sister Sakina Mujahid, all the way from Charlotte. Welcome to the show, sister. Good to see you. We haven't seen you in a minute. God bless. And even Charlotte has a connection to Kobe Bryant because if he did not go to the Lakers, he would have wound up playing for the Charlotte Hornets. How about that? A little bit of history for you. So I guess the interesting part in this type of situation is where do you start with Kobe Bryant? And where I start with Kobe Bryant is really at the end. At the end of Kobe Bryant's career, he had done something many of us did not think he could do. Like for all of us that follow his career and people who are creatives, let's just say people who are designated creatives, we watch Kobe Bryant's career because we're very, very aware and astute of things that he was doing off the court. His business dealings, his promotions, his marketing. We watched all of that. And we bristled in some regards because we knew we were going to see a player leave something and take those intangibles, those immeasurables, and apply them. Let me say this closely. Apply them in the marketplace for the betterment of human beings, for the betterment of young ladies, for the betterment of other players. I mean, he was making this move, and I'm like, you could really, really appreciate it. And there was an anticipation. There was excitement. Let me give a shout out to my brother JT. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beloved, how you doing, man? Thank you for making it on the show. Big love to little brother. But the thing that we liked about Kobe Bryant is he didn't come in winning. The Kobe Bryant I saw when he was 17 years old, coincidentally when I lived down in Los Angeles, the Kobe Bryant that we saw back then, he missed crucial shots in the playoff game against Utah. He shot air balls. He took charge of a situation to give me the ball, shot, and didn't hit anything. He didn't hit the rim, didn't hit net. And the Lakers lost in that playoff to Utah. And people in LA at that time began to question, why did Jerry West spend all this money on Kobe Bryant? He's a 17-year-old kid. He never went to college. They were asking all of these questions. And it were legitimate questions. But what you began to hear in the background about Kobe Bryant after this failed experiment in the playoffs was that from that time on, he was back in the gym. Now, you've heard me talk about this numerous times. This is something about Jordan that we gloss over. This is something also about Kobe Bryant that we gloss over. I like Kobe Bryant much the same way as I liked Michael Jordan, much the same way as I like the Miles Davis or John Coltrane, or people who are really, really wedded to the idea that you must improve in your craft. I like that he excelled at deliberate practice, meaning that metaphorically, you were never going to work this guy. You're never going to outwork him. There's a difference between playing the game and then understanding the game. There's a difference between understanding the game and then segmenting the game. See, Kobe Bryant was a guy who got himself in a situation. He perfected moves, if you will. He perfected thought process under pressure, but he also perfected thought processes when he understood the situations he was getting into or he was getting other people into. And that type of thing was exciting. That type of thing is why when he retired and he dropped 60 on his last game, a lot of us like, oh, we're really going to see something now. And what I like about Kobe Bryant, it doesn't happen enough these days. Kobe Bryant, in his own way, found a way to have different and unique relationships with different people, but keep them private. Hear what I'm saying? He had different and unique relationships with people, but he was able to keep them private. So now when you hear conversations of people who spend time with Kobe, all the conversations are different and unique and organic. And we don't have that much more. We don't have that a lot. And I think that thing that's also interesting is this is one of the few times you're going to hear about a young craftsman going to an older craftsman. The story of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant is a beautiful story of brotherhood, a big brother and a little brother. Now, many of us have seen Michael Jordan stoic, he's a killer, but when he talked at Kobe's funeral, it was heartfelt. I felt for Michael Jordan. He made me feel like he lost a little brother. And in Kobe Bryant, as a creative, I don't know how it affected you. It affected me that way too, because it's like we lost another budding artist. We understand basketball. We understand business. But we're in the business, brothers and sisters, of inspiration. And Kobe Bryant had excelled to the level that he was in the business, even more so than Jordan and so many other people. He was in the business of inspiring people. Young girls, he inspired. Old men, he inspired. Old comedians, he inspired. There's a Twitter, I don't know if it's out there, but there's a story of Kobe Bryant at a Mamba event. And I guess the videographer asked Kobe Bryant if he would mind just giving a little talk to his mother, who was dealing with cancer. And he not only gave the, hey, hang in there, be stuff, trust in the Lord talk, but he took it, and then his wife sent the young man one. And then they put it out there to let them know that there was a prayer circle of wellness for this young man's mom. And it's ironic, she's cancer-free, and he's no longer here. What does that say? It says being able to give, brothers and sisters, being able to give, regardless of how much time we have, how much money we have, what are the results, what are the returns. It's that aspect of giving. So let me give a shout out to my mom and my sister, Miss Eleanor. Hey, Miss Eleanor, I hope you're doing well. I got to get that call, give you a call. I apologize. I've been tied up, but I'm going to give you a call. But reality hits. Reality hit me like it hit a lot of people. I just gotten off the road from doing a gig, brothers and sisters. Was asleep and was given a call by my brother, Reginald Kitchen. May Allah be pleased with him. And he said, "Did you see what I see? Did you turn on the TV?" I said, "Man, I'm asleep." He said, "No, no, turn on the TV." And I turned it on. Now, two grown men who claim to have working logic, if you will, we were openly discrediting this report that a helicopter had gone down and Kobe Bryant, at this point, it was just Kobe Bryant, but his daughter later on had perished in this helicopter crash along with other people. And we discredited it because it came through TMZ that we think is, they're a rumor mill, they're a gossip thing. I have never wanted to be more wrong in my life when TMZ got it right. TMZ showed the picture, the smoke in the, and I wanted to say, please, TMZ, be you. Be incorrect, if you will. And they weren't that incorrect. They did Kobe Bryant a real service. In fact, I have to commend them because they were sensitive in how they covered this thing. And around the world, I wasn't alone. A lot of people didn't believe it happened. To this day, we kind of leave that space open for Kobe that it didn't happen. Now I'm going to talk a couple more minutes about Kobe, but I'm going to say something, and I hope it makes a point. Thank you, Altaf. In the years that Kobe Bryant finished playing basketball, I mean, his last couple of years were rough. He had the Achilles injury. He was playing, and people were dogging him that he wasn't the same guy. People ridiculed the Lakers for giving him such a big amount of money to bow out, but he was the show for so many years. He was, and I realized it several times since his death that Kobe was so loyal to the Lakers that the Lakers couldn't help but be loyal to him. And we could look from the outside, but we don't understand the relationships inside. That's number one. But number two, what becomes apparent, and this is not living vicariously through Kobe Bryant. We don't know him. I began to like Kobe Bryant after he left basketball. I liked him a lot better as a person. Let me tell you why. Because Kobe Bryant was living a life where his agency was framed around the fact that he loved people. He loved helping people. That became his advocacy, brothers and sisters. Calling up guys who didn't expect to be called by Kobe, giving them clues about how to be better players as a pathway as to how to be better people is an exciting thing. And then you start taking this aspect of him as a family man. Him as a family man, framing this whole thing. Somebody said he played 20 years in the NBA, but he only had 4 years with his family. And you know what? I was like, no, no, no. He dedicated his game to the bat. He dedicated years to the game, the craft. But in some regards, you have to believe that he dedicated himself to the craft of being a father. You see, Kobe Bryant was a different type of dude. He grew up overseas, playing, learning different cultures, isolated in some regards. But what I enjoyed about Kobe Bryant, and what I think we need to celebrate, is that his love for people extended to the fact that he was passionate about what other people were passionate about. Do you hear what I'm saying? He was passionate about what other people are passionate about. That only happens with parents a lot of times. That you're passionate for what your baby is passionate for, or not. But it becomes his advocacy. The children's books, the Oscar, the movies he was developing, the idea that he wanted to be a great writer. Hear me now, a great writer. And all along the way, moving some things aside, all along the way, willing even as a basketball player, willing to be vulnerable. There's a quote by Arthur Schopenhauer, and the quote goes, talent is the ability to hit the target no one else could hit. Genius is the ability to hit the target no one else could see. Let me say it again. Talent is the ability to hit the target no one else could hit. Genius is the ability to hit the target no one else could see. Brothers and sisters, I believe that this young man was laying out a very, very clear pattern and argument that he pursued excellence on the basketball court, but now he wanted to pursue genius in the space of mankind, in the space of humanity. The stories that don't come out, it's LA stories, if you will. There's an LA story about Kobe Bryant and his wife, Vanessa, having a charity based on helping the homeless. And at some point in time, the United Way in LA reached out to Kobe Bryant because they wanted his assistance. And he willingly gave it to them. So they had a walk. And they say the first walk they did, it was really short, and maybe they got, $250,000. Kobe Bryant asked him, hear what I'm saying? He asked him literally, not how can I help you, but teach me the best way to help you. And from that time, he went, and that walk expanded from 250,000 people to much greater number. They had to shut down parts of the city because the walk had grown. And the money they made, I think they made whatever, $1.5 million, but it was a matching grant, so they made a lot more. But the story that isn't told enough, is the fact that Kobe Bryant, in this aspect of helping the homeless in Los Angeles, in downtown, would go to Skid Row, understanding that a majority of the men on Skid Row were men, and a majority of those men were black men. And he sat with them. Many of them did not know who Kobe Bryant was. He was just another tall black man. They were probably hoping he looks new to Skid Row. But it's the ability and the intelligence and the compassion, if you will, to find out the problems of people, to engage what you don't know, to engage the uncertain in a way that it's unselfish because you want to help somebody. People don't understand that a lot of times. You throw money at a problem, but do you really sit with people? And what Kobe Bryant had done is develop a culture in a very unique way where he would sit with people. I'm going to talk to you about basketball, but sit with me. What are we talking about? Who are you? How are you? How are you feeling? How best can I help you? Which are the earmarks of the next thing I'm going to say. And this is extremely important for me. Kobe Bryant moved from this 17-year-old kid who was dumped in the NBA, who was throwing up air balls his rookie year, who coincidentally still won the slam dunk championship. But he was this guy that along the way inherits, cultivates, I want to say refines the fact that he becomes a teacher. You see the pictures of him with his daughter, Gianna, and his daughters, particularly with young women. They have that hashtag, Kobe Bryant girl dad. But he was a teacher. And in that space, becoming a teacher, he became a leader of men. A leader of men who he talked to about family. A leader of men he talked to about leadership. A leader of men he talked to about finances. He was so much about building a much more healthy ecosystem outside of sports. And even the sports world loved him for it. he appealed to that space, and I'm trying to find the right word to say that. He appealed to that space where even the toughest of men were vulnerable. And that vulnerability was because they all wanted to be taught. Every young man wants to be taught. Every young woman wants to be taught. And they want their teacher to be caring. They want their teacher to have passion about them learning. They want their teacher to have excitement for them learning, whether it's pass or fail. The engagement, brothers and sisters, is the thing that made the guy special. There are teachers out there. We recently lost Hank Aaron. The difference between Kobe Bryant and Hank Aaron is that I saw Hank Aaron live out the balance of his life. See, Hank Aaron, after I knew Hank Aaron was going to retire when I was a kid, he had played baseball for such a long time at such a high level. You know, if there was a conversation I'd love to hear, it'd be great to hear Hank Aaron and Hank Aaron, Dick Gregory, and Kobe Bryant having a conversation about excellence, about leading men, about leading women. And in that space, brothers and sisters, it becomes more and more important to me. It should become more and more important to us that we duly have a responsibility to engage that vulnerability in ourselves and others to teach. The void that's happened in the last 4 years, and I'm not going to jump on Trump because part of this is willing, is that people hid that vulnerability. People didn't want to be taught. They didn't want to be instructed. They wanted to be commanded. And all this space and rhythm and flow and tone went out the window. And we stopped having organic understanding. Let me give a shout out. This is my aunt, Miss Maxine K. Kobe Bryant, what a gifted player who left us much too soon. And some of my husband and I enjoy watching play. Yes, absolutely. And Miss Kate is also the sponsor for the segment, brothers and sisters. So I just want to throw that out there. But hear me say this, and then I'll wrap up, because I still haven't processed Kobe Bryant being gone. I saw him in an interview. I read an interview. We talked about, he wanted to do all this stuff and he wanted to die young. It sounds morbid, but it actually is not, because he was a young man who didn't have the responsibilities and the love and the accountability of being a father and a husband. And I say that because from that statement, you see the exact opposite with Kobe Bryant. He wanted to live. He wanted to see his girls grow old and go through the things that young ladies go through. He wanted to see the young brothers that he had talked to as young players, as high school players and college players, flourish and have full careers. Full careers in the NBA, knowing that those full careers in the NBA somehow could change the life of somebody in their family or their neighborhood. And maybe they emulated what Kobe Bryant did. Maybe they found passion for other people's passions. Maybe they become a collective of teachers. Maybe they become a collective of great dads. Maybe they become a collective of girl dads. So when I got the call, like I said, January 26, 2020, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it. And I'm not alone when I say I didn't want to believe it. But I was reminded. That there's a plan for everybody. There's a plan for everybody. And the stoic nature of Kobe Bryant is what he gave for those who didn't know him or didn't understand his plan, that he was placed here for a reason. And we watched him go through certain iterations. He had his troubles. I know that, brothers and sisters. He had his legal issues, but he never had another legal issue. Would you say that whatever conversation he had with God at that point in time, he honored it? And that type of ethic, I haven't even gotten to Kobe Bryant's work ethic because I don't want to, because I'm going to talk about his spiritual ethic. You talk about a man who was living a religious life with religious purpose. A religious life with religious purpose. The last interview I saw him, I don't know who was doing this interview, but the interviewer said, "Hey, Kobe Bryant," he said, "if your house was, okay. Yes, he was. She could play too. I watch players. She could play." This interviewer said something, and it's 100% Kobe Bryant. And I'll leave you on this. The interviewer said, "Hey, Kobe Bryant, I've heard this question before. Say, listen, you're in your house, you have all these accolades, trophies, da 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 da." He said, "If a fire broke out," they said, "what's the one thing you would take?" The first thing he says, "I give my family the safety." The guy goes, No, I mean, after that." Kobe Bryant says, "I get my family the safety." And the guy goes, No. We the rings. He says, "Listen," I'm paraphrasing. He says, "Listen, the trophies, the rings," he says, "those are things that have already happened. They already had their moment. This just serves as a memory of the moment." He says, that moment you can't relive. So he said, basically, I can live this moment with my family. And he goes, in another way, brothers and sisters, he's almost saying, yesterday don't count. What you did yesterday doesn't count. You can remember it, but you can't change it. You can't speed it up. You can't stop it. You can't deny it. Yesterday already happened. Yesterday already had its special moments. We live for today until we can't live. That's the show today, everybody, brothers and sisters. I want to thank y'all for hanging in there with me. I appreciate it. I'm going to give a quick shout out. Hope you guys don't mind. Just real quick, stick with me here. I'll give a shout out for our sponsor, brothers and sisters. Got to give a shout out for the sponsors. Okay. So listen, if you want to increase and grow your financial portfolio and grow your income in financial services, I'm going to suggest Maxine B. Cade with her website, and go check it out, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Miss Cade is known as the Harriet Tubman of financial advisement. She's trying to take everybody to freedom, get away from the slavery of debt, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to encourage you to call that number at the bottom of the screen. Let me move that banner real quickly. I hope you guys don't mind. But call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. Call today. Call now. If you don't want to do that, go to the website. Get the information. I like to say something about information. When people ask me about things or they want information, I tell them, listen, the information is free. What you do with it is your business. And in the spirit of Kobe Bryant, I'm going to implore people, even if you don't go to BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, explore being financially independent. All right, everybody? But y'all call that number 1-800-679-3175. I'm Preacher Mars. That's a shout out show. Allah willing, I'll be here tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Altar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out TarifAltar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.